Isis Astarte Diana, Hecate means a calling, Inanna. 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 Isis Astarte Diana, Hecate means a calling, Inanna.
Hello, welcome, blessings, blessed be, and marry me. This is High Priestess Jamila. This is going to be the fourth Witches Broom podcast. And sit back and get your popcorn and your soda or your wine, and we are going to get into another goddess turned demon, demoness, who is just like Lilith, an ancestor to me. Um, the only difference is that Lamia stated that she was a blood ancestor of mine, which was kind of overwhelming, but that's okay because I really needed her at the moment that she came into my consciousness. But I'm not going to get into that. So I wanted to put up this podcast, and it is very important for people to understand what has been happening for a very, very, very long time with the scapegoating and the lies that have been happening. So, Lamia, similar to Lilith, um, vehemently and very seriously denies a lot of the accusations and does not like the label as the child devourer. Okay, she doesn't like that because she's saying that it's not the truth, and I believe her. Just like with Lilith, I believe her. I believe that um, people have a tendency when they research goddesses and deities and mythology, which that's why they call it mythology. They call it mythology because it may not necessarily be the truth. So when you go and you search and you look all over the internet, you see people regurgitating, maybe even sometimes rinsing and repeating the same story or lie that was told. So Lamia, it is true, and she confirmed this for me that she does have a connection with Zeus a long, 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 long time ago. Okay, a long time ago. And so basically, what ended up happening is that Zeus was obsessed with Lamia. He was in love with her, but Zeus was married. And he even had a couple of children with Lamia. And Hera, who was Zeus's wife at the time, this was again a long, long, long time ago. This is a part of the history of it. Hera cursed Lamia because she was jealous of the fact that her husband was obsessed with her, and ended up putting a curse on Lamia and kidnapped Lamia's children. Sorry, it's kind of late. I'm sleepy. So Hera had Lamia's children kidnapped and essentially murdered because of her jealousy of Lamia. Okay. However, ended up spinning and telling a story and claiming that Lamia had done it, claiming that she had murdered her own children, and Lamia is still salty about that. Very salty because she's like, that's not true. The children were kidnapped. First of all, there's two different stories going around, which doesn't make any sense. Hera had Lamia's children with Zeus kidnapped and murdered, but then supposedly they were kidnapped and then Lamia murdered them. So does that make any sense? No, it doesn't. Um, it doesn't at all. So the truth of the matter is that Lamia did go after Hera eventually. Not real sure what that story is, but what I can tell you is that the story of her being a child devourer, that part of it is mythology. Just like with Lilith, that part of Lilith is mythology. Okay. So first of all, it's kind of confusing, I understand, because to me, I felt that Lilith and Lamia were the same person. Um, and that Lilith went by Lamia. So pretty much Lamia is to me another aspect of Lilith, of the goddess, of the demoness. Okay. And the reason why she's deemed a demon is because she is associated with malevolence. However, her malevolence has nothing to do with children at all. So people all throughout social media, all throughout YouTube, um as well as TikTok, are all regurgitating this fictitious story about Lamia that is actually not the truth. And as frustrating as it is for her and Lilith, you notice how nothing bad ever really happens to those people, because they just don't know. However, she is associated with vampirism, but to me, vampirism takes on an altogether different meaning to me as far as with vampirism, as far as my relationship with it. Um, and I believe that many aspects of vampirism is not necessarily about eating someone, but more so taking their energy, taking them, okay? Devouring them, okay? But it had nothing to do with children. Um, there may be a reason why when you hear about the stories that have been told for years, uh adults referring to themselves as children, even in, when you look at the Bible, a lot of people refer to themselves as, a God's child. So, but as far as her targeting and eating babies and things of that nature, no, that's not what happened. In fact, after she changed into her demonic form, she actually, Zeus continued to love on her, and he continued to be her lover throughout their existence, throughout their, uh, their time, and continues to, because he felt bad for her because of what his wife did to her, and he felt a strong love for her. He felt a strong responsibility to take care of her because he knew his wife wasn't shit. you know, he knew his wife basically, um, and I'm not trying to talk mess about Hera respectfully, but what she did was pretty horrible. And so how do I connect with Lamia is that she is an aspect of a woman who fights, a woman who, is in battle with forces that are trying to do harm to her, as well as children, as well as my children. So Lamia actually, was trying to protect her children, but she was, I don't want to say necessarily weak, but she was vulnerable. And so the story about Hera cursing her with insomnia, now that is kind of true a little bit. But both of them were sorcerers, um at the time. And but somehow, Hera ended up kidnapping Lamia's children. That story possibly had something to do with the fact that those were also Zeus's children somehow. Anyway, I wanted to talk about, Lamia's metamorphosis into the half serpent, half demoness. And so that is considered like a metamorphosis of her power, of her rage, of her malevolence, pretty much, and her ability to do a lot of different things. Okay. In fact, a lot of her powers she got from Zeus. So Zeus actually gave her powers to beat his wife, to overcome her. So, that title thing, man, you would think that Hera would just divorce Zeus and just move on. But, you know, it's kind of like a tragic love triangle, huh? I was reunited with Lamia. It's not the same Lamia from Drag Me to Hell. She's much more sensible. In fact, has an amazing ability to heal people. She is a healer, actually. And I'll get more into that at a later date, but she's actually a healer and can provide emergency services to people. Um, so I feel very safe and protected by Lamia, to be honest with you. Because not only was she protecting me psychically, but then also spiritually. Before she came into my consciousness, she was protecting me from negativity. And I even dozed off and went to sleep, and she was protecting me in my dreams because there were volatile dreams that I was having. And she stepped in those volatile dreams. And so, um I guess it depends on who you are. To me, I believe that Lamia was demonized unfairly. And the reason why is because, is it her fault that Zeus was obsessed with her? No, it wasn't. Was it her fault that Zeus was in love with her? No, it wasn't. Okay, it was not her fault. He just, Zeus loved her. And I think that that's just one of those things, you know what I mean? And so I'm sleepy, but I don't really want to get into that. I really don't. I don't want to. What I want to focus on is how Lamia, which to me is an aspect of Lilith, helps and assists and protects me. Now, Lilith is very overprotective. Lamia is the aspect of Lilith that is, when she comes in, that means that Lilith has had it. She's just had it with something or somebody. And so that is a part of that demonic protection that I've been telling you guys about, because I actually did a very deep, deep, deep protection ritual yesterday, um, that involved my death protection, destruction protection, and it worked because it deflected a horrible, horrible attack that was meant to do harm to me, and it was able to deflect that attack away. Therefore, bringing Lamia into the picture, because things had gotten that bad. And so, for me, and for a lot of you guys that are connected with me, because not only do I protect myself, but I protect the people that I love and I care about. And so, especially when it comes to clients, when it comes to students. So, when I had put up the video on the main channel, it didn't get a lot of views. It didn't even get any thumbs up because people probably like, Lamia, oh my god, because people have been lied to. The same thing about Lilith, they lied on Lamia. Lilith and Lamia to me are the same person, only Lamia is more of a shape-shifted version of Lilith who is ready to fucking attack. Okay. Lilith more so handles a lot of, um she's more so of, like, to me, Lilith is like the motherly type. She's looking out at all times. This lady literally miraculously has billions of eyes on everybody that she is protecting. And typically, Lilith is going to protect the people like witches. If you're a witch, if you're a vampire, maybe you may even be a sex worker. I know that I do have some sisters that are sex workers, and I do get along with them. We don't fight. As far as with the Jezebel type, I actually do not have um any issues with Jezebel per se. And this is something that really, really took a while for me to manifest. Okay. It took a while for me to understand Jezebel. Okay. And the way that she works. And so Jezebel definitely is another aspect of the divine feminine that I am okay with, that would never attack me, that would never disrespect me, okay, personally, because they respect me. You know what I mean? So as far as with Lamia, my reunion with her was basically about protection, was basically about spiritual battle. was basically about reclaiming of my power, okay, and many, many other things and aspects of self, freedom, liberation from oppressive energies that didn't just involve men, but women as well. So, that is the reason why I reconnected with her. And to be honest with you, I know for a fact that she can't necessarily be banished in a way by which a lot of people would like to banish her. Um, and I just think that I think that she is a good spirit to connect with in addition to Lilith. Just don't go to them trying to attack me, just like you should never go to Satan asking him to attack me. I'm not going to reveal why, but just don't ask Satan to attack me. One of the reasons is this: why I'm so heavily protected by the underworld is because they know how responsible I am. Like, if you were to look up responsible in the demonic dictionary, it would be a fucking picture of Jamila, of High Priestess Jamila. So they're not going to believe you when you go to them and lie to them. They're not going to believe you. They're not going to allow you to persuade their favor for me, because they know that it's not the truth, because they know how focused I am. And that's just what that is. And then also they have given me a seat, very high ranking in the hierarchy, as far as in their hearts, and with their dominion. Okay. So I don't know what Lamia is going to do. She's not going to attack anybody's children, but she is going to check some people. Okay. She's going to check some people. So she came in for, to me, like I said, for defense, for psychic defense, for magical defense, against, people that may be throwing magic and sorcery at me. And that would mean all types of magic and sorcery. The one thing that they have been talking to me about, and this would include Satan, Lilith, and Lamia, and a few others, is that good things happen to good people. Bad things are not going to happen to good people. And, so in actuality, um, it's all been kind of adding up. And so even though I do have, Lamia has pretty much claimed me as her family, as being an ancestor, which I look at Lilith as an ancestor. I look at Hecate as an ancestor. But Lamia says that we are connected by blood. And there are certain offerings that I make to her. One of the offerings that I make to her is my menstrual blood, okay? And or either wine or either lamb, actually, is the offerings that she takes. Um, Sometimes things can be meant to come at you, and those things are meant to destroy you. Okay. Um, and so a lot of people that have, if you have an issue with people being very obsessed with you, if you have an issue with people chasing you around, constant harassment, constantly trying to disturb your peace, constantly trying to get in your energy, and you don't want those people, just like Lilith feels that no woman deserves to be raped. Lilith absolutely detests rape. Lilith is not a grape apologist, and we're not supposed to say the R word, which is totally ridiculous in my humble opinion. It really is, but whatever. Okay. Lilith detests that. And so the same thing with her. But I wanted to debunk the myth that Lamia hurt children, devoured children, or even um, did harm to her children. In fact, her children were kidnapped by Hera, and she wouldn't give her children back. So, you know, and that, that's just that. In some stories that I've seen is that the children were actually not murdered by Hera, but that instead they were protected somewhere else. It's the you to me, that aspect of it is not necessarily as important as to understand that everything that you've read about them has been a lie, and everything makes sense. It does. It even adds up, um especially with the war and everything that's going on, and the fact that Lilith has nothing to do with that. And so a lot of people are looking at that situation that is happening, with this war that's happening, where children are being hurt, and they're saying, wow, because it is very biblical. Uh the, the stuff that's going on was actually prophesized in the Bible. And so a lot of people, are saying, well, my goodness, maybe, Satan is the actual God of the Bible. And no, that's not true. So yeah, no. Anyway, that's pretty much what I wanted to say. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I had to say. Okay, sorry about that, guys. There is one other thing that I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about people, and I'm going to talk about this extensively tomorrow during a live. I wanted to talk about people that are of Christian, and maybe Catholic faiths, but mainly, thank you, sweetie, mainly, any religious faith, who are wanting to be in a spiritual war with a witch. Okay. The one thing that Lamia is telling me right now is that if you are of a different faith, if you are Christian, and you are coming in opposition of a witch, and the witch is literally not trying to deal with you, the witch doesn't want to do that. You are starting mess with a witch. That is something that you can't just do. Okay. It's You're not going to be protected when you are being a predator against people. So she wanted to say that the Bible is not going to protect you if you are predatorially after a witch, whether or not you're Christian, Buddha, whatever you are. Okay, is what she wanted to say. And there are a lot of people who are constantly being bombarded, attacked, pursued by people that are trying to throw the Bible really, really hard, and it's not going to work. And so I think that is their loving and caring aspect. Her, as well as Lilith, is warning people that you can't do that. It's not going to end well for you, is what she wants to say. If you have some kind of obsession, it's time for you to walk away. It's time for you to leave people alone. You can dislike somebody, doesn't mean that you can throw your crud at them, doesn't mean that witch is not going to be protected, because a lot of people in social media especially, they think that it's okay for them to flex on the witches. They think that it's okay for them to flex and to just throw stuff, to attack us unprovoked. And that is something that you are not going to get away with, and that you're not justified in doing simply because a person is a witch. That's pretty much it. It's sad that my social media doesn't get very much upfront airplay, but I do want to put up a short video on TikTok as well about this particular subject about Lamia, because that sucks to be accused of doing something that you did not do, and to just have people regurgitating the same thing over and over and over and over again just because they read it on Google. When I went to go look at Google, that's the same thing I ran into. Doesn't make it the truth. Okay. So, and I feel very passionate about this, and then with Lilith too, same thing, because Lilith and Lamia is the same person, just a different aspect. Um, Many people who are women with children, especially, needed Lilith's protection. They needed her protection. They needed her wisdom. They needed her magical defense. They needed her defense in this world. But a lot of them were turned away from her and lost somehow. Okay. These people became lost without her. She would have been somebody that could have protected them. For me as a mother, I am such a strong mother that if I felt that Lilith would ever be harmful to my children, I wouldn't be dealing with her. So, and that's the truth. And whether or not you want to accept the truth or not, it just is what it is. But like I said, the proof is in the pudding. You don't see an army of Lilith going around trying to hurt children. You don't see an army of Lilith or Lamia starting wars where children are being harmed. You don't see that. People that are in a place of war, though, they tend to think about children before they attack. Some people just go straight for your kids and they want to attack them. But I think that more sensible people, which not it's trust me, I'm not giving them no credit, but I think that people sometimes think that people have their children as a means of like a bulletproof vest or some kind of decoy for them. And that's not the truth. Just like Lilith, just like Lamia, I would stand in front of my children and fight a fucking bear for them. I would turn into a bear for my children and for the people that I love. But, so people attacking people's children as a means of war, to me, is a cop out, because most people that have a war with somebody is typically not sensible. As I told you, Hera was mad at Lamia simply because Zeus was in love with her and couldn't stay away from her. How is that her fault? Things that make you go, So, and Hera she was just dead set on vengeance. In fact, a lot of what they're saying about Lamia or Lamia is the same thing, is what Hera did. How do you get it so confused? It's very bizarre, but that has nothing to do with my relationship with Lamia. She's just here strictly for spiritual defense. Same thing when it comes to, I have a connection with the Baba Yaga, and I trust her 1,000,000% completely, just like I trust Lamia. In fact, anything out of spiritual warfare that gets thrown at my children comes to me. I don't even allow it to go to my children because I feel that it's stupid. And it's been literally a spiritual warfare for the almost a decade now, and it's so stupid Because where does it come from? It comes from people trying to take away other people's choices. That's where your spiritual warfare is coming from. And it's ridiculous. Okay. So if you want to know more about the Lamia, or if you would like to know messages from her, you definitely can schedule a reading depending on what you're dealing with. Okay. But for me, she's just someone that is going to kind of hang out and destroy my enemies that try to hurt me or my children or my offspring. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for watching the Witches Broom podcast. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Blessings. Blessed be.